And welcome back to Sunday Square Off. Nobody likes getting a bad grade. Arizona schools really don't like it. Many of them are rebelling against the state's new grading system, and now those grades are being reviewed, and that review could be illegal. The grading criteria for the schools was changed. It was tougher this year, but the schools knew that. There are fewer schools this year getting A's, and here's why the grades matter. Higher grades mean more state dollars for the schools next year. Joining us is Evan Wyloge of the Arizona Center for Investigative Journalism. He broke the story on this rebellion. Why are these schools, public and charter, so upset?
Well, what we've found is that pretty much nobody is happy with their grades. I mean, some of them are the ones that got high grades, but a lot of these schools are really unhappy with the formula that was used. Some schools believed that the formula should have counted more of a straight performance measure. Others believe it should have been using growth, student growth, more as a measure, but nobody likes it. On top of that, we found a bunch of schools had much more particular gripes about the way that their individual grades were calculated.
Now, schools knew this. They knew that there was going to be a trade-off between growth, which is, say, you go from a C to an A, or your student scores improve, or you're already at the highest level and your student scores stay the same, so maybe you don't get as much credit for that. So they knew all this. And now it looks like they're trying to work the referee, the State Board of Education, as well as the governor's office. What is happening in those two areas? What are they doing to change the grades?
Well, the State Board of Education decided along the way here in the last several weeks to months that the scores, the grades that they were going to put out were going to only be preliminary grades, and that they are going to go back to the drawing board and rework the way that they're calculating some of these grades.
Now, did they do that, this decision, did they do it the right way?
And this
gets to the point I raised about, is this illegal or not?
Right, and that's the question because the State Board of Education is run by a board, and it's unclear whether all the decisions about how these grades are going to either be final or preliminary was made in the appropriate setting. The State Board of Education will be meeting on Monday of this coming week, and the staff at the State Board of Education says that they will address this issue then.
I should point out, you were thrown out of the State Board of Education offices for requesting the grades.
No,
which were...
it was the Arizona Department of Education.
Oh, sorry, Department of Education.
Sure.
Correct, yeah.
You got to make sure we get that one.
Yeah, but you were thrown out of the offices for requesting the grades a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and that goes back to a few weeks ago when they put out this big press release and they said, we've got the grades, they're coming out, except we're going to keep them secret. And the schools can look at them, and they can file appeals, and then a week later we'll put out some public grades. But that's not how public records work in Arizona. You know that, I know that. If it's a government document, it's a work product, it's been produced, it exists, and if it's not one of the narrow exemptions in our law, it's a public record.
How about the charter schools? Are they going directly to the governor's office with their complaints?
We saw some great reporting from Hank Stevenson down in Tucson this week, and he actually got a representative from the Charter Schools Association to say that they had in fact been putting pressure on their people, the people that they're in contact with at the governor's office, and the governor's office, they really work hand in glove with the State Board of Education. The State Board of Education is in essence an extension of the executive branch.
So I'm going to ask you to make a leap here. Given everything you've described, working in the governor's office, the state board, in ways that might be illegal, how much faith should taxpayers have in these grades?
Hard to say. I think that we're going to continue to hear more about this over the next couple months. That may erode, public kind of trust or credit in the system.
This seems inevitable with these kinds of programs. We saw this with Ames. Every year, legislators would water it down to the point where it was useless. This looks like it's heading in that direction with more political tinkering.
Well, when you try to take something as complex as how is this school doing and boil it down to one letter grade, and that letter grade now, like you mentioned, is going to have state funding attached to it, you're going to have a lot of dissatisfied people.
All right, Evan Wyloge, great reporting. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks.